Well, now that it's 2019, we get to brush aside all of the wonderful 2018 films we're catching up on and talk about one of the newest 2019 films. And Will, I don't think we've talked about a 2019 film yet on Cinemaholics. So this is because of last week. But the first one we're going to talk about of the year is The Upside, which you and I saw.
Yeah.
And it's a lighthearted drama directed by Neil Berger. He, of course, director of 50-50, Limitless. I think his most recent film was Divergent. And this film was written by John Hartmere. It's a remake of the French 2011 film The Untouchables, which was inspired by the real life of Philippe Poteau de Beaujeu. And I don't know about you, Will, but I love The Untouchables. I think that it's not the best movie in the world. It's like a B plus kind of movie, probably more like a B. But that Omar Sy performance is wonderful. And I don't know how well this film has aged, to be totally honest, but because I think some of the tropes in it might be a little bit more recognizable in 2019. But wow, just watching The Upside make me wish I was watching The Untouchables instead, but we'll get into it. So The Upside follows the story of an ultra wealthy man played by Bryan Cranston, who is also a paraplegic. He has no feeling below his neck. He's in need of a new caretaker, or they call it like a life auxiliary in this movie. And he enlists the help of a former convict, played by Kevin Hart, of course, who's recently made parole and he's in dire need of a job. Here's a brief clip from The Upside.
Alexa, stop!
Hey,
What?
I'll get the shower ready.
I want that on.
No, man. Look, I get you trying to block out the world, but can you at least do it to better music?
Have you ever listened to opera?
Yeah, opera's really big in prison. You could hardly get a seat on opera night. Why can't we listen to Aretha? You want to feed your soul? Then listen to its queen. Think about it. Yeah. You better think about what you're trying to do to me. Think. It's amazing, ain't it? I sound just like her.
Yeah. When I close my eyes, which I needed to, it's uncanny. It's like identity theft.
All right, that is from The Upside, which is now in theaters. It's the big movie of the week. I think it dethroned Aquaman. Will Ashton, what did you think of this one? Yeah, that's quite a statement.
I did not realize this is going to be a hit.
It was a huge hit in
I
France. It's a crowd-pleasing story for sure.
No, well, yeah, I mean, The Untouchables was a really big hit in France. Yeah, it was it the highest grossing film?
It won some award Yeah, it broke some records.
Right. Yeah, it was definitely a big hit over there. Yeah, I guess though I wasn't really quite as high on the film as you were, The Untouchables, I mean. I thought it was fine. Like you said, I really was taken by Omar Sy's performance, but other than that, I don't really remember much about it, and I don't really think I had that strong of an impression about the film, but it's fine. It's enjoyable. I can see why it was a lighthearted hit over there, but going into The Upside, I think you're a little more negative than I am, only in the sense that my expectations for this film were so extremely low that when I was watching it, I was just like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, there's a lot you can criticize about the film. I think it's not a good film. I think at best it's pretty mediocre. But as far as watching it, I found it charming enough, and I think the performances from our two leads are decent enough that I wasn't bored while I was watching it. I found it to be tolerable in a way that I wasn't anticipating. So yeah, I think it's just okay, but it seems like you're more negative than that.
Absolutely. I just think this is such a dull movie, and I think it does come from me liking The Untouchables a little bit more. I just think that film is so much sharper and wittier, and there are clever jokes in that film. It definitely has a little bit more on its mind, whereas The Upside was just, I just really felt like I was watching a really ham-fisted trio of performances here. I mean, I don't know. I
won't deny that.
I think I was very. I shouldn't be shocked by this, but I was still so shocked that Kevin Hart does not have very good range. And he can do two types of performances. He can do the sort of, all right, I'm being serious right now. I only take care of myself. He can do that competently. And then he can also do the fast talking, stand up, like, all right, I'm riffing, I'm making people laugh kind of thing. But he doesn't get down that ingredient that puts those two acting types together. Like, you don't believe it's the same performance. Like, you don't believe that the same performance is coming from the same person. And it constantly took me out of this movie because when he was switching between personas, I was like, that's really ham-fisted acting. And it really shows that his range isn't quite there yet. And I don't want to be too negative because I do think he could do it. Like, I think that he's someone who has obvious potential for being a more dramatic performer. Like Adam Sandler was really sort of testing and pushing himself with some of his early 2000s serious roles. I know you're a big fan of Punch Drunk Love, for example, which
one of my favorite movies. Yes.
Yeah. It's definitely, Kevin Hart has it in him. And I did not go into this film ready to despise Kevin Hart as an actor, even though I greatly am annoyed with him and how he dealt with some of his past comments, his homophobic comments being dug up, and how he got kicked out of the Oscars. I definitely am not a Kevin Hart apologist, but I'm also not, looking for him to never work again or anything like that. I just wish he would be a better person, like I guess most people in Hollywood.
Sure.
And maybe this film could have worked a little bit better if there was just something else working here, because I think Bryan Cranston is just pretty one note, and I think Nicole Kidman is absolutely just not just wasted in this movie, but demeaned to the point of absurdity. Like, I just think that the way she is written here, she's written as just the spoil sport, tropey, I'm here to ruin everybody's good time. And it's just, The Untouchables did such a better job with this character and making her feel like a real person. So seeing the upside just over Hollywoodize it just really offends me, I guess. Like, it just really bugs me that The Untouchables was good enough on its own. I know that it's been remade a few times before. This is the first American remake, but it just makes me feel confident that forget the upside. It's too long. It's too boring for what it is. And it's so not worth your time when The Untouchables is a much better film.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I mean, really, I don't have a strong memory, like I said, of The Untouchables, so I can't talk about it too much. Like, I didn't even remember Nicole Kidman's character in that film, but
she
I
wasn't
agree with
in
you
it.
about. Well, what was that?
I'm just messing with you because you made it sound like she was in The Untouchables.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember the actress name in
anyway,
that one, but yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I agree. Nicole Kidman is extremely wasted in this film. Like, she's given really next to nothing to do, and considering how great of a year she's had in other films, I think it's pretty apparent that it kind of adds to just how like dated this movie is. Like, it just feels like a film that would have came out like in 2005.
Plus, on top of that, it was delayed, right? A year and a half because of the Harvey Weinstein.
Right.
It was supposed to be distributed, March of last year?
Something like that. I forget. Yeah. But yeah, it definitely feels like a film from another time. And not necessarily a good way. But yeah, I guess I can't really agree with you about Bryan Cranston's performance. I actually thought he was really good, though I definitely understand the criticism of him being able-bodied man playing a quadriplegic character. I think that is valid criticism, but I thought his performance was really good. I actually thought it was pretty incredible what he was able to do in certain scenes, and yeah, no, I definitely don't agree with the idea of his performance being one note. As far as Kevin Hart, I don't know. I definitely don't think it's like an amazing performance. I don't think he blew me away as much as I would think he want this performance to be really accepted and liked, but I thought it was pretty good. I definitely see what you mean though. So I would like to see him do something else in the dramatic field that maybe pushes him a little bit more, because this feels like kind of like it's still pretty comedic, but there's like dramatic touches. So it's a good transition for him as far as an actor is concerned, but I thought he did an okay job. I can't really criticize it too much as far as the performance is concerned. So
it's certainly not a step backward for him. I just think we disagree on how big of a step forward it is, maybe, and I think that he has it in him.
Yeah, to me, the biggest faults of the film really come down to just like you said, how Hollywoodized this film is, and just how cliched and formulaic it is. It just feels like your typical Hollywood version of a Hollywood remake of a foreign film, which really makes me concerned about if they're ever going to do the Tony Erdmann remake. I don't know what's happening with that, but I don't know if that's still in the works, but I hope it's better than this. But yeah, I really can't say I hated the experience of watching the film, but like I said, my expectations were pretty low, so maybe that was what made it a little more tolerable for me.
It sounds to me like your memory of Untouchables might be really contingent on whether or not people like this one. Maybe
Yeah.
I could see it. Yeah, I could see a lot of people who have never seen Untouchables be like, "Oh, this is fine." And because for me, for example, I mean, the opening scene in The Upside is ripped off wholesale
Oh yeah,
from The
definitely.
Untouchables.
Yeah,
it's the exact same thing, and
Yeah,
but it's
shot
done
for shot.
worse. It's done worse. Like I remember like the way that scene ends in the opening credits, and it's so fun, and the song choice, and you really get the tone of the Untouchables from that opening like 5 minutes. And Upside, it feels like it's done here for no reason. It adds nothing to the film. It doesn't give you a really good idea of what their dynamic is like. It doesn't really set a lot up. It doesn't pay off at all. And to me, it's very emblematic of how just absolutely hollow, like I said, this whole thing comes off for me. And yeah, I guess people are liking it though because it is making money and it is a crowd pleaser. And I think that is the takeaway: is that if you've never seen Untouchables, first of all, go see that instead. If you, in my opinion, I think you should. But otherwise, I would say avoid this one. I don't think it's worth your time.
Yeah, I mean, The Untouchable is certainly the better of the two, but yeah, I don't know how big of a response it got in the United States. I really don't know how many people saw it. I was talking to my sister. I guess they were watching in their French class today. She's actually watching the movie right now.
Oh, great.
So I'll have to talk to her and see what she says about the film. But yeah, I don't really know how it was received in America. It got kind of a muted response, I remember, compared to France, certainly.
Yeah,
when
it hasn't.
out.
It hasn't made. It didn't do really well over here, which is why they're remaking it for sure. But this new film, I mean, it's going to be a pretty modest hit. I think it's opening to about 20 million right now in the U.S. and it only cost about 37 million to make. So it's looking like it's going to pay off financially, depending on how the next couple of weeks go. Depends on how if Glass is a big hit and kind of overshadows this one, but not. Yeah, I mean it's kind of an interesting. It's kind of interesting how it all played out with how this film was delayed and the timing with Kevin Hart and all of this stuff. I'm kind of surprised to see it get this much attention in January, but
Yeah.
What was your final grade? For me, this one is a C, pretty flat.
I'll give it a C plus.
All right, so all we really have to say, Julia, have we sold you on checking this one out, or?
I will have to take some time to let these thoughts marinate, I think.
Yeah, I think
you did sell me on seeking out Untouchables, though. So
I think it's pretty good. I know not everybody loves that movie, but I think it's pretty competent. Especially compared to this. It's more than fun, Will Ashton. It's pretty darn good. But okay, so the upside.
I think I gave it a B minus at the time. I think
I would give it a B. So that's kind of where we usually tend to end up. So the upside has
all these arguments that our grades are like one percentage off. So there you go.
Well, the difference is in the details, Will Ashton. The devil, some would say.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, the upside has a 40% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's actually climbing a little bit. It was in the 30s just a couple days ago. So it's not quite taken the critical world by storm, but again, it's doing pretty well financially so far, and we'll keep following it over the next couple of weeks.